right, guys, I'm here with legend coach Bill Moore, all the way from Mesa, Arizona. First, want to thank our sponsor, Born in the Cage. Go check out their gear, borninthecage.com. This is one of their newer shirts, proud to you, Born in the Cage. Appreciate it. Derek, Bino, shout out to you guys. Thanks for coming on. Super excited about having our guest on the show today. Oh, one more thing. Go check out EmeraldCoastBaseballAcademy.com. Subscribe to this podcast. We'll have information on Bill, manager Santa Fe Fuego, 2014 league champions this year. Bill, thanks for getting this all connected. I'm super pumped. I talked to our man Bowser, and he wasn't quite sure if we were actually going to get this going or not. And I told him, you know what? I've text supported many of people over the phone. We'll get it going for sure.
I heard you and Bowser and Charlie Calavia speaking of my technological skills, and the guys really knocked me upside the head. But I'm glad we got this thing done, John, and thank you for guiding me through this thing.
Bill, anytime you ever need anything, you know you can always call on me. So I'm just glad, just happy to, good to see you. Good to see you're in good health, good form. Let's jump right into it. We'll start off from the beginning. You and I met, let's see, about 2.5 years ago, right? Played for you. Had a weird situation, kind of got traded, released. I don't even really know what the details were, but you called me up, gave me a shot. And, without guys like you and the Pecos League that just give guys a chance to start somewhere their professional career, I really feel like that is such a commodity. There's a lot of positives and negatives going on with the Pecos League, and you hear people all the time. You see it on social media, and they even had the reality show on Fox about the Pecos League. I personally had no issues once I understood what it was. It was a entry-level job trying to get guys exposure and experience. For those that don't know, your stats do go on big-time baseball reference, the Cube, all the things that you need to be a professional minor leaguer, independent or not, to really try to put yourself out there. You gave me a shot. I remember my first outing. I was excited to get back on the mound. I had been like a week out. I had never pitched at your place. The team I was on before that was a completely different. It was a real field, I would say, distance-wise. I didn't have any issues. And I think I came out and gave up like 6 runs in like 4 innings, and like 2 of them home runs. Just got absolutely lit up. Was confused, didn't understand. It was a different place, and you can't. It really taught me how to pitch through adversity. But you came out and you came out, took the ball from me, said, "Don't worry, I'm not sending you home. Just get ready for your next start." And I, walking off the mound, I said, "Okay, all right, I feel a little bit better." I heard the other day they were talking about a perfectionist with Kershaw and King Felix, and 2 guys that I really like to follow anytime they throw and see how they attack guys. And I kind of have that perfectionist in myself. If I don't go out and execute even just one pitch, I get a little upset about it. So, I appreciate it. And, I tell you, I'm good to see you're successful this year. And thanks for all the guidance and all the hard times and the good times and all the stuff. So my first question is, first, congratulations on winning your championship with the Pecos. Let's run through your history. What got you into coaching, and what's your playing history?
What's my what?
What got you into coaching from the beginning? When did you start?
This last summer was my 43rd year. No, that's a lie. 42nd year to coach, maybe 43rd. I don't remember, but it doesn't matter. Long time ago, and I just enjoyed the game, and I was trying to play, and there wasn't all of the independent league baseball things that there are now. MSBL, we're talking a long time ago, John. I'm almost 50 now, maybe a little. There wasn't the MSBL and all the places a guy could play when he was finished with high school, college, whatever you were playing. That was the end of the road, man. You could play. I played in the old Mexican League in Phoenix, which was a good league to play in. It was just a place to play, though. You know, there were 50-year-old guys out there drinking beer and throwing strikes or throwing at you or something, and there was nowhere to play. So maybe I ought to start trying to coach a little bit. So I started trying to coach, and yeah, it worked out pretty good. And I wound up getting some good baseball players playing for me, and here we are. You know, 43 years later. It was 43 years, as a matter of fact.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, for those that don't know, the Pecos League plays National League rules. The pitcher gets to hit. I thought originally that would be a fun idea. Being so far out of it, by the time I got back in there, the other side of the ball coming at you was just, for me, it was it turned into a, not necessarily an issue, but me looking at how things progress, trying to level up your career and take steps forward. It's, I took advantage of it when I could, but I also understood when I was trying to win the game, and I really saw a lot of the coaching philosophies that I personally try to do to the youngsters down here in Florida. Trying to take extra bases, be a smart base runner, and just not make any kind of mistakes. And then I felt even more pressure that I was pitching in the game, because if you came down to it, anything that I did to cause an extra out, that's on me, and that hurts me even more, because I'm pitching, I'm playing the whole game. So I can see where, I've looked into a lot of the stuff. I've talked to a lot of people about the DH, and I personally think that DH is going to come over and just take over all of baseball. You got a lot of baseball traditionalists that don't like it, but then you got a lot of economists and other people that say, you look at ERAs are almost a point to a point and a half higher on average in the American League, and that's better for baseball. It sells more tickets, there's more home runs. Granted, there's not as many strategy moves, but I think we're moving to more of a matchup-based game anyway, where you do make more of the pitching changes based on the pitcher. And I personally hated it every time you took me out in the dang 5th or 6th inning, because
you were a hard guy to take
ball
out.
Game, and I know you got about 65, 70 pitches, but we're looking in the future, and we got to make a statement now. And I understood it, but I always felt like, dang, if he could just if I could just get through that, and so I understood it from your side, and of course I had a problem with it. No, I don't know a pitcher that ever wants to come out of the game, but that being said, did you enjoy having the National League and being able to have that option right there?
I liked it a lot. I guess maybe you could call me a traditionalist. The DH came in, and I went, but it's more exciting for the fans to have that other popper in the lineup, and it makes a difference. Back to you and hitting, John. You did a good job getting the ball on the ground and bunting and doing some things like that. That kind of kept you in ball games, maybe for another inning or until the next at bat or something of that nature, which was good. I mean, you worked at it. We take batting practice, and there's Sentes over there getting some balls on the ground for us, and that helps. That helps keep the pitcher in the ball game if he can bunt. If he's throwing well and he can get the ball on the ground, maybe I'll let him hit for himself and bunt a guy over. Guys that don't take that part of the game seriously as pitchers are not just cheating their team and their teammates, they're cheating themselves. They might be cheating themselves out of an extra inning or two on the hill. Yep. And we stress that a lot this summer. Get your bunts in. We sent the pitchers down to the bullpen area. You're familiar with Fort Marcy, down the bullpen area, and then had them bunt once a week when we were home. Just bunt for 20 minutes.
Yeah, and that I prided in high school I could bunt. I never understood the issue with bunting. I felt like if you did your technique perfect, it was kind of easy. The only issue I ever had was I remember we faced one guy from Raton throwing 93, 94, and I believe he hit Calamia in front of me, and he also almost hit the guy in front of him, and they were all on fastballs up and in, and it was two short guys. And I knew it was no outs, runner on first and second. I'm like, oh God, he's going to make me bunt. I know he's going to make me bunt. And so we get up there, and sure enough, he gave me the bunt sign, and that first ball this guy threw whizzed by my face, and probably about 93, 94. And I was like, this is not fun anymore. I'm not having any fun because you're not hitting at that point. You know, your mission is either get as many pitches as you can from the pitcher to waste on you, or you're supposed to put a bunt down as early as you can, do your job, get off the field, don't pull a hammy running down to first, you know? That's your job as a pitcher. And it always seemed, you know, we had an outstanding offense and out there when I was with you, and it always seemed like it came up, and it was run around first and second, no outs, you know. And as a matter of fact, I remember one time I think I led off an inning early in the game or something, and I think it was later on in the season. I believe you said something to me like, "Hey, if you bunt, I'm taking you out." And I called time and I said, "It's the second inning." And you said, "I don't care. You swing at the first pitch." And everybody.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, you know, and so I think a guy threw a slider or something. I wasn't even close to it. I just swung at it, and everybody was laughing. It was just a funny little moment there. But, you know, it was, you know, it is what it is. Fort Marcy, I mean, in BP, everybody's hitting home runs in BP there. And I thought of it a couple times, you know, trying to get into one, but I never felt like that was my job as a, you know, pitchers go, if a pitcher went out against me and swung at the first pitch, if he hit it, awesome. But even if he didn't, you know, more than likely I was going to throw something that cut or sank just in case. That way he did swing at the first pitch and, oh, you hit a ground ball. Thanks for saving me a couple extra pitches, man. And so I never wanted to worry about that. So that was always a fun part of the game that I had with you. It was awesome stuff. So we're in this year in Santa Fe. You had the Player of the Year, the MVP, Mr. Eric Kozel. Tell me about him. I got to throw to him a little bit the year before. I felt like he was a special guy. He's listed about 6'4", about 200, 210.
Probably somewhere right around there. That's a good strong guess right there. Eric, I had a pitcher this year. Put it real well. He told me, he says, throwing to Eric is like throwing into a pillow. It's nice and soft back there. You know, no brick hands that bounce off and base runners advance on. And he was one of those guys that framed pitches very subtly. He never, if the pitch wasn't a strike, he didn't try to fool an umpire. But if it was close, he stuck it pretty good and let the umpire see it. And I didn't think he could throw. The year that you played with us, I didn't think he could throw. But then this last summer, I'm going, damn, this guy throws the ball well too. I think he's probably a 2-1, 2-2 guy. But everything's, you know, an ankle-high strike on the first base side of second. Guys are out. They just run into a good throw and a good tag. You know, it's easy. Eric's a good baseball player. He got hit by pitch 63 times, I believe, during the summer. His on-base percentage was just unreal, and he hit just over 400, I believe it was.
Did he get an opportunity to continue on after the season?
I did my best to sell Eric Kozel, and nobody ever, oh, well, we got an all-world guy. Okay. And Eric can run, too. Eric run like hell. He's probably a 6'5", 6'6" runner.
Yeah.
And, you know, he can play the outfield, play either corner in the infield. He played a little second base, I think, in college, someplace in California maybe. And Eric's just a baseball player. And he does have, I was able to get him and two other guys a tryout with the Diamondbacks. I believe it's around the 20th of this month. And
I'm there.
I'd really, you know what? Let me work on that a bit, John. Are you in shape, ready to roll?
Hey, I threw yesterday. I threw a bunch yesterday. I feel good. I feel
you
strong.
told me that.
Yeah,
let me work on that. Let me work on that.
Yeah, hey, you know, I'm always looking for a good opportunity, and you never know what's going to happen. And I never stop throwing. I'm a big component of. I'm that old school Nolan Ryan. I think you and I talked about, you know, how back in the day with you, it wasn't even a matter of in season, out of season. It was just you just had to throw. I mean, it was just something you did. You just threw every once in a while. If you were in season, you threw because you're in season. If you're out of season, it was you threw because you were out of season, and that's something that I'm trying to profess. Matter of fact, when I was at the college yesterday, I had a conversation with the head coach that was at the college that I was at was my pitching coach in junior college, and matter of fact, that's back when I threw submarine, and he didn't. It was his idea, and it just didn't work out with the program with them, and they had new guys coming in. You understand how junior college is, where we got this new recruit or this new transfer guy coming in, and sometimes the grass is always greener. So it forced me to go back to the things that I needed to do to become a starter and to be myself as a pitcher. And so that worked out, but it was kind of funny. I get to train with them whenever they have an opportunity for me to throw. So I throw about once a week, and they let me just go out there and face as many guys as I want. And it's for a college guy coming straight out of high school. Most of them don't even know what a cutter is or a good two-seamer and sequences. And I'm throwing inside back foot changeups to righties, inside cutters up and in, down and in. And they've never seen anything like that, and it is fun for me to help them and show them that side of it, and show them, and then the other thing is we're talking about throwing. I mean, I think they're in their third or fourth week of their season, their fall season, and they've already got sore arms, this and that, and I was able to sit down and talk to them. Look, I got back 2 months ago. It hasn't been, it's been a month. It's been about a month since my last start. And I went into lessons, started throwing this and that. I never want to lose that elasticity in my arm. So when guys shut it down, quote unquote, I don't think that means from throwing. I think it means from pitching, from actual bullpen, spinning all your pitches and everything.
Right.
But just playing catch and throwing, I think that's way more important.
I agree with that philosophy 100%. Let's play catch tonight.
Awesome. Okay. All right. So let's get into some deep philosophy stuff. I always wanted to know how you evaluated a guy. We went into camp, and I'll tell you a funny little story. You probably remember the guy, a guy named Jimmy Maxwell. Jimmy.
Who?
Jimmy played with me and you down in Mexico.
Yeah, Jimmy's awesome.
I remember, and Jimmy and I still joke about this. You pulled me aside one day. We were having a competition at first base, and I guess you and I just weren't seeing things differently. Now, do you remember what happened in spring training? Remember this conversation we had?
I was going to send Jimmy home 7 or 8 times during spring training. I thought, this guy, all he can do is hit a long fly ball. He can't catch. He can't do nothing. All he can do is every once in a while he runs into one. And then I got to thinking about it. Yeah, but it's happening more often for him than anybody else. Yeah. Jimmy could play. He was a good defender. He's a big guy. And he had legit power. I mean, Santa Fe's a little short ballpark, but his home runs sometimes had some distance to them.
Yeah, some of it didn't matter. It wasn't. Not all of them were Fort Marcy home runs. A lot of them were no doubters off the bat.
And a lot of them won ball games late. I mean, he'd come up in a late situation, and even if he didn't hit a home run, he hit a missile someplace and get that guy home from second base. Jimmy was a good clutch up guy.
Well, for those that don't, I'll finish the story for you. It was a hilarious situation between Jimmy and this other guy. We get down to the last cut, and you just straight up asked my opinion. And for me, I thought it was a no-brainer. I really thought, I was like, wow, this guy can play third and first. He plays a little outfield too. He caught, and I don't even think you knew he caught.
I didn't know that.
He didn't get all the information out to you, and you're like, this guy's on the bubble. And I go, Bill, look, if it's me, it's no doubt. I mean, no offense to the other guy. I was like, but I'll tell you this. I don't want to face the guy, if that tells you anything. The guy is not fun to face. He makes contact and strong contact often. He may, and that might give credit, for what you saw in our live situations in spring, where our live pitchers came out and dominated in spring ball. I mean, you probably had just as much trouble picking who the pitchers were going to be. I think we might have had. I remember counting with Rick. I think we walked like 3 or 4 guys the entire spring training out of all the pitchers that threw those innings. I mean, that's a good problem to have, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. That summer we missed the playoffs by a half game.
Yeah, I remember
I don't
we won our
you
last
remember
10.
that? Yeah, and we got hot at the end. I think we won 9 in a row at the end, and everybody was playing good baseball. And after that summer was over, there were so many times I'd be sitting at home and going, damn, if we hadn't lost to so and so, so and so, nobody wanted to play us at the end of the summer. We were the best team in the league at the end of the summer,
Yeah.
and had we made the playoffs, I believe we would have done well in the playoffs. I believe, and Roswell kind of had their way with us a little bit during the regular season, but we were a way different team at the end of the year.
Yeah,
And
we definitely formed our identity. I could tell.
yeah, we had a lot of guys that were good teammates on that team, and I think when you're putting a ball club together, it's important to have good baseball players, but if you don't have good people, if you have guys that are kind of not the type of guy you want to hang around with all summer long, you need to get rid of that guy and bring a guy in maybe that's not quite as talented, but's a better player. Um, there's a old baseball coach named John Scalinas that I heard him say one time at a coaches convention that don't recruit donkeys. If you bring in donkeys, you're going to wind up living in Donkeyville. And he's right. He's absolutely right, man.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to live in Donkeyville. I like John Scalinas, and that's the one thing I remember from him. He's an old guy. I think he's deceased now. He was winning College World Series in the '70s at Cal State Pomona. How the hell do you do that? You're facing USC and all those guys.
Yeah, no kidding.
Johnny won. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a good club that year.
Yeah, for sure. I will, a couple of guys still on the podcast. It's already been a season, and still friends with them, and they're trying to get me to come out to Arizona and play in one of those off-season tournaments in October, and I'm trying to see what we can do. See what the wife lets me do. You spend a summer in Mexico, she doesn't exactly give you the kitchen pass right away, So.
Yeah. Life of a minor league ball player, man.
No
Keep
kidding.
the suitcase packed.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. Did you notice any coaching style changes? Actually, before we get to that question, I wanted to comment on you did something that I tried to implement that I really liked from the beginning. Two things actually. One was your communication on the base path, coach to player, player to coach, as a checks and balances system. And we had a lot of guys on the team that didn't understand it, and it's professional baseball, blah, blah, blah. And when it came down to it, as simple as showing how many outs, just to make sure everybody's on the same page. And before you would even start your sign system, you would make sure we had eye contact, batter to hitter, and runner. And it was as simple as, how many, one out, do I have the right number of outs? I mean, for those that don't know, before, halfway through the season at Fort Marcy, we had a scoreboard that was iffy. And honestly, down in Mexico, we didn't have a scoreboard. There was one of those chalkboards that was out there in right field, but no one manned it ever. It was constantly 0 in the top of the first. There was nothing else. That was the pre-painted number out there.
Yeah.
But that's all there was. So maybe as you get into a higher level of professional baseball, I feel like that's good. But I felt like at the beginning stages, that's some of the teams that I had coached that I brought in right away. I wasn't going to start my sign system until we confirmed how many outs are there, 2, 1, 0, whatever's in from there. And I wanted to compliment you on that because whoever does something good, I'm going to take it just like anybody else would take it. And okay, I like that idea. I'm going to run, put that in your back pocket. I'll bring that into the system later. John. And I think that's the way baseball.
I took that from someone else myself.
The whole purpose behind this podcast is to get quality information like that stuff out there, because there is so much bad or generic information where people will say things and not explain it all the way. And getting you on here and talking philosophy, that's one of the things that I wanted to get to. The other thing that I really liked you did was the strategy you had at third base, and it was so genius. I didn't understand it when I first got there because we didn't run bases when I was first there. It was the DH, and I always felt like guys didn't understand what was going on. And if you were a new guy coming in and you didn't understand the strategy of it, it made no sense. But for those that didn't know, you would be on the third base side, third base coaching box, guy on second. The visiting team was on third base, and we were on the first base side. Now, when a guy would be going home, your sign to send him home was actually to not do anything. It was actually just to stand there. And I remember multiple times, even spring training when we had the next year where we had to run, and really thinking, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? And that was the whole point, was to learn to not anticipate stopping, was to think as soon as the ball hit, you're gone, you're scoring. And it was so vital in really, even if you were to start yelling to do anything over there at third base, that you weren't even talking to the guy scoring, because the guy needs to score anyway. You're talking to the next guy, the runner behind him, on what he needs to do, where position he needs to go. And once I grasped that concept, I said, same thing, hip pocket, I'm taking that home. From now on, when someone gets, stopped or whatever. And so I put in drills just like you did, with some of the high school kids that I worked in. And I saw them immediately get better at base running. So that was another thing I wanted to compliment you on there.
Yeah, John, in all sincerity, I believe this with all my heart. I'm kind of an aggressive guy on the bases. I honestly believe that if you have a good base running team over the course of the summer, it's worth 1 run a game. If you have a bad base running team, over the course of the summer, you're going to give away 1 run a game. And that's a 2-run turnaround if you put it that way. And I think it's big to be a good base running team. And I think the only way you can be a good base running team, the only base that counts when you get there is home. So you got to be aggressive to get home.
Yeah. I wish we'd have had that when I was in Mexico. It's a different game down there. They don't necessarily focus on base running as much, and I could have used. I think I had 3 complete game wins, and 2 of them were 1-0, and that happened a lot in my outings, where it is going out and just winning or losing by 1 run, and that's unnerving as a pitcher. When you're going out there, you don't have. I can remember maybe 1 or 2 times where I actually was like, okay, I don't have to go out and get fancy here because we have a 6-run lead, and I can just go out and be aggressive and throw hard things that are going to move late, deep ground balls, because I know they're going to swing, and I know it's going to move late, and I don't even have to worry about location. I just got to get it over the plate. So that was huge, and I wanted to share that with the people out there, for all the coaches that are watching this, to really divulge into that side of it and see what's going from there. Now, your strategy, did you change anything? Your team when I was there in 2013 and this 2014 team, did you feel like the teams were similar, or did you have to change any styles? I know you had some returning pitchers. Carden he came back, right?
He was excellent all summer long. He had a sore arm for a couple of weeks, but beyond that, he was dominant in some instances.
Speaking of that sore arm thing, for those that don't know, how many games did you guys play this year, and how many days?
We played, counting playoffs, we played 73 games and probably in about 76 days.
76?
Yeah, as my memory serves, we had 3 days where we didn't even have to go to the ballpark the rest of the time. Oh, that's a lie. One of those games was the All-Star game.
Yeah.
And, it was in Santa Fe, so all of our guys were there.
Yeah, when I was on the All-Star team in 2013, it was the same situation. I think we had gone, when I counted it up, going to the ballpark and everything, I think at that time, right at the All-Star break, we didn't have an off day since the beginning of the season. So I believe it had been like 37 games or somewhere 38 games. And a lot of the guys are begging for the off day, and me being honored in the All-Star game, I just, whatever. It's just like any other day. And for those that, I can totally see where Carden would run into some issues with his sore arm. Down in Mexico, they have Mondays off, which is actually how the international community plays, where everybody has Mondays off no matter what. You play 6 games a week, Monday's an off day. And I found myself a lot more rested and stronger because of that extra day, because depending on the only time you would ever actually throw on a normal 5-day rest would be if you pitched on Tuesday, because it would roll back around to Sunday. And so every other thing else, if you pitched on Wednesday, then you pitched on Tuesday the next week. If you pitched on Thursday, then it was Wednesday. It was a real easy system to know when you were going to throw, but it was so much easier on the arm. And I thought, one of the things that I saw it 2 ways. Being in Santa Fe is playing every day like that. It's definitely hard. I saw it very hard to you had to stay disciplined on nutrition, your work. You really had to get into a good routine to keep your body fresh and constantly rebuilding and getting into the situation to where you were able to could keep throwing. I don't even think I felt like before that season I started a pretty good strength program to where I was able to feel strong even on my 5th day. When in actuality it was pitch on the 5th day, so it was 4 days rest. And that was constant through the year. Actually, I even remember a couple times to where I was begging to get instead of a bullpen day, maybe try getting inning from you. I was just trying to attack as many innings as I could out there, and I could totally see how guys in that league would want to do that. I was
this year, John. We changed what we did a little bit. We went 5-man rotation up until the All-Star game, and we felt very comfortable that we were going to be a playoff team. And I knew everybody else was doing 5-man rotations too. So I said, we got enough arms, so we got some pretty good arms. Why don't we just, from the All-Star game in, why don't we go on a 6-man rotation? And our guys, when it came to the playoffs, we played 6 playoff games, and we had a guy out there every night that I thought could win. I mean, was fresh enough that I went, we got it, man.
That's awesome that you said. Something I had talked with, I don't remember who, someone I was talking with earlier on the podcast about, and we were talking about that, and that was one of the things I noticed. If you did have Mondays off, if you did the math on it, that was like being on a 6-man rotation. I had personally noticed how much better just everything felt with that extra day. I mean, even if I went into and if I knew ahead of time, which it was pretty easy to know, if I was a Tuesday, Sunday pitch day, which that happens every time in yours. It was just unbelievable how just 24 hours I just felt so much better. So that's awesome. That's some strategy out there. Fortunately, you had 6 guys that you could go out there and throw with, and I think we actually did the opposite when I was with you to try to get into the playoffs. Yeah. We dropped down to a 4-man. We just couldn't seem to find a 5th guy to repeat what we were trying to do.
That made it tough on us that summer from 2 standpoints. Is just before the All-Star game, we lost Carden, who arguably was the best guy in the league. I don't know, maybe he was pretty damn good. And we also lost another guy a couple days later, hurt his hip. I don't know.
I know you're talking about. Yeah, I don't remember his
name. He hurt his hip. So we lost 2 starting pitchers in a matter of 3 or 4 days. And we spent, and this probably that half game we were talking about earlier, you don't want to blame it on anything, but had we been able to keep one of those 2 guys or both of those 2 guys, probably we're a playoff team. I mean, Carden probably missed 5 starts with us. Probably we're a playoff team. Toward the end, when we went on the 9-game run, I had you guys pitching every 4th day, and I was getting deep in games with you guys. I mean, it wasn't like you were going out there and throwing 60 pitches, 70 pitches. We were getting you deep into games. We were getting 7th inning, 80 pitches, 90 pitches, and I respected you guys a lot being able to do that. It was tough.
Yeah, it was. I believe even on my last, I think I went even on short rest even shorter on my last start. I think I went on 2 days rest in Las Vegas. Yeah, in Las Vegas. I came even shorter after throwing because I think I went pretty far on a day, and I think I only had like 85 pitches, and
only.
yeah. Well, and that's another thing I wanted to talk to you about was being on the other side in this other situation. Your thoughts on this whole 100 pitch thing. I understand the concept, but I want to know what your thoughts are on it first, and then I'll explain for what my thought process is.
What I think, first of all, the guys that play at this level are young guys. They're mostly guys freshly out of college, and even if they were the ace of their college staff, they pitch once a week. They pitch every 7 days. So you're not used to that load of a 5-man rotation or even a 6-man rotation. Oh, well, it's only 1 day. Well, it's 1 day, and as you mentioned earlier, that 1 day makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So my thought process is if you leave a young guy out there for 120, 130 pitches, boy, you're going to ask him to go do it again in 5 days. I don't want to get anybody hurt. I mean, my goal every summer, and I don't accomplish it often, and it's too bad, is to promote some guys. And if you get some guy with a tender arm toward the end of the summer, it's impossible to promote him. And so I try 100 pitches, 110 pitches, pretty much into the line, unless you got a shutout going or something special going, especially with a 9-man lineup card, no DH. Pitchers are going to come up, and maybe it's a game situation in the 7th or 8th inning, and you're right around 90 pitches. Why run him back out there again? Put a hitter in and let him get ready for his next start. That's my theory on it.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing with that is, like you're saying, is having the issue with the no off days, the 5-man rotation, run into that. And originally when I came in, I was the same thing. I was the same college guy. Oh, I throw 130 pitches in college. It's no big deal. And then I finally was able to do some research, and the thing that I started looking at is kind of like a withdrawal deposit. Every game I was going to withdraw 100 pitches from my arm bank, I guess you could say. If I went, and that was like my buffer. If I went beyond that 100 pitches, then I felt like I was withdrawing from my next start and pulling pitches out of that start. And a lot of guys don't understand that. With that limited amount of time, you have a lot of work you have to do to get basically back to 100%, and you're just hoping that day you wake up, on your 5th day rest, that you feel back to zero. And being in that time slot this past season in Mexico, I found an awesome routine. I was able to tweak my workout in the gym and my running and my nutrition, and able to find a sweet spot and just get in a nice, easy routine. And I think that was probably the easiest thing that, being an American guy down in Mexico playing almost made it easier to be disciplined because the distractions were so much less. Because you didn't have a lot of guys that were going, let's go do this, let's go do that. And you had a lot of alone time where, it was way easier to stay focused and just go, okay, well, I get, if I go do something tonight, that affects, I have to get up in the morning and my workout. No, I'll stay home. And, it could be a little maturity in getting into it, but I saw a direct result in my pitching and my ability to go out and compete in ball games. So that's what I felt like I was going to do. So
I always thought you were a very good, disciplined guy. Anyway, I mean, I don't know what your personal life that was that much, but I always felt that you took good care of yourself and didn't get stupid and, waste your time out doing things that you don't need to do.
I didn't run around looking for any peanut butter. Try to.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Oh,
Awesome.
that's funny.
Okay, so last year's team, this year's team, similar team. Um,
Yes and no. The year that you played, the pitching probably wasn't from 1 to 11 as deep. This year, we made a couple of trades at the a week or 10 days after the All Star game. Brought some more bullpen help in, and the pitching was a little deeper, I think. And defensively, very similar teams. It's hard to say which team was better. I think they would have played. I think they would have played good series against each other. I really do. We had a better win loss record than the year you played. Why was that? Probably have to attribute it to being a little deeper, pitching wise, all the way through the summer instead of
yeah,
instances we talked about earlier where you guys wound up on a 4-man rotation, which actually we may have played our best baseball when you guys were both.
yeah, yeah. Well, attacking the zone. I'm a big component of. And you and I that was one of the other phrases that you and I talked about was 3 on and off. 3 pitches on or off. I don't like wasting pitches. Matter of fact, when I was pitching up at the college, one of the coaches was talking to me about my out pitch, this and that, and I was trying to tell him, look, if I can get a strikeout, it's awesome. But really what I'm trying to do is get weak contact. And I don't care if it happens on the first pitch or the last pitch. If he finds a hole, he finds a hole. I can't do anything about that. But if I can get him to hit it into that dirt area right in front of home plate, I'm going to win a majority of the time. And so
Sandy Koufax. I was reading a book this summer about Sandy Koufax, and one of the quotes he had in the book was when he finally figured out to get pitchers to swing and hit the ball instead of swing and miss at the ball, he became a better pitcher.
yeah.
And I 100% believe that. Throw 3, get him out of there, next guy.
Yeah, exactly. And that comes into a quality pitch thing. I mean, I know you and I aren't saying throwing it right down the middle, on that if you're 0-2, but definitely trying to. That's a great time to nibble to try to get him just a little bit outside the zone to see if you can either catch a corner or get him to get weak contact. So
You throw that little 2-seam thing that you got. A right-hand hitter doesn't have much of a chance if it looks like a strike coming and it's off the plate in.
There's that one, or what I really my last outing in Mexico, I really wanted to go out and establish my Greg Maddux off the plate on the plate to a righty. I actually was able to get a lot of and even yesterday when I was throwing to a lefty off the front hip onto the plate to try to get him to jump back and get a strike on the 2-seam. And I'm just a big component of, I probably mix even more than what you're used to me seeing me throwing, Bill. Down in Mexico, everybody spins stuff all the time. And
yeah.
with me going down there, and I found a catcher, a guy spoke English, and he and I really, he really had put a lot of confidence in me to throw some expert advanced level pitches and locations, and not be afraid of it. Throw a lot of inside changeups and see if a guy pulls it. Maybe throw it for a strike first pitch, and then try to throw it for a ball down and in next pitch. Try to come back with a 2-seam. Off the plate, on the plate, 0-2 on a guy to see if we can even catch a corner. And I think I had like 7 or 8 strikeouts my last outing, and I want to say 6 of them were all looking on 2-seam fastballs off the plate where I really was able to get behind it and get good spin and rotation on it and have late movement back. And so that was fun. You'd have loved it down there, Bill. It was an awesome experience. I mean, baseball down there is everything. They actually try to limit the TV coverage on a lot of stuff so they can draw more people to the ballpark. And I heard from our owner who spoke English from them, and they were talking about what they try to do to keep it all more in-house on exposure and everything for the marketing stuff. That way they can draw people to the ballpark to make it more of an experience. Because they do have TV and sports teams down there, but they're all about their local team. You know, kind of how teams are with their college stuff, and you know, here in America, that's how it is down there. They're more about their local pro or semi-pro team down there. So
Yeah, that's good stuff.
so I want to run over a couple more things with you. Hope I don't hold you too long. Let me ask you about
I just feel sorry for the people that might be watching this thing.
well, there might be a couple inside jokes that maybe flew over some people's head. You know what I mean? Okay, so let me ask you, young guys, you do lessons with guys. Can I talk some hitting philosophy with you? Let's go over one of the big controversies going up. Let's go over swing path. I've heard everything from hold your hands high, hold your hands low, shoulder. Just can you take me through a quick, simple rundown of what you're trying to do with your swing and what kind of contact you're trying to get?
You know, that there's always going to be differences on this thing. I'm kind of I watched a lot of video of Ted Williams hit. When I was a kid, he was like my favorite hitter. Man, the guy could hit. I think I told you a Ted Williams story about when I was a youngster and got to go stand at the batting cage while he was taking BP. And you know, there might be some young people watching this, so I can't say exactly what he said. He was a very confident man. But if you watch Ted Williams' swing path, and if you see any video of him, if you see any still photos of him, his hand path was low. He set his hands very low, and he had a very minimal load with his hands, with his lower half too. He wasn't a big long stride, a lot of movement guy. It was all pretty short and quick. And if a guy is struggling with the bat, that's one of the first things I do. Is usually they're struggling, they're up here, just get them to get their hands down a little bit. And if you're way up here and you load, oh, look where my elbow is, it's barred. I have no hand speed to the ball. Personal opinion. And there's guys that'll argue about that. I mean, there surely is. But I think low hands, little load, and take the knob toward the ball. Take the knob toward the ball. Get rid of this. Take the knob wherever the ball is, outside, middle, in. Take the knob toward the ball. Wherever that knob goes, this is my swing path theory. Wherever that knob goes, when you get to about that point where you can't go any further with your knob in your top hand, that barrel head's going to fly down there, and you're going to be above the ball, which I think your hands are going to be above the ball. The barrel head's going to be in a good position, and with some acceleration. That's what hand path. And honestly, if a guy's hitting the damn ball hard, I don't monkey with him too much. You know, I mean, the old broken car thing. Fix that car. The car that ain't broke, why are you going to fix it?
Yeah, that's one of the things I always run into with guys that leave high school and go to college, and you know, there's there's always just information flowing around everywhere, and I hear it all the time. Even when I was in college, you know, there was a couple guys that I played with that were outstanding athletes. And I remember playing with them before we had got against them and with them before we got to the college that we were playing at, and them just lighting it up, not worrying about anything, not thinking, playing the game. And we get to college, and it was, this is how you hit. And, you know, these people just struggling with that. And the more and more I got into it, you know, being a young guy and just being like, well, why can't you hit that way? And, you know, and they'd always come out with something great. Well, why don't you throw the way the coach wants you to throw? And I'm like, oh, okay, it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, everybody does everything different ways. And I've heard a bunch of different things. And I agree with you. There's certain things that have to happen, you know, throwing the knob, staying. I like a nice, level, flat swing to the ball just on the simple concept of staying behind, ball to barrel, staying behind it and trying to hit it as much force as you can going out.
That being said, what you just said, if your timing is just a blink off, perhaps, and you carry that barrel down through the zone long ways, even if you're off a little bit, you still got a chance to hit the ball pretty hard.
Yeah.
I believe Warren Spahn. Probably a lot of the people watching us have no idea who he is, but maybe one of the best, definitely one of the best left-handed pitchers of all time. Warren Spahn said that hitting is timing, and pitching is disrupting that timing. So if you've got good timing, if you lined up 100 big league guys and said, would you rather have a perfect swing or perfect timing? My guess is all 100 of them would say perfect timing.
Yeah, I agree.
Even if the swing drop a little bit.
Yeah,
you're
that's
on
why
time.
When I'm talking about mixing, that I really don't mind throwing different awful. Some people would say, you don't throw your fastball enough, or you don't throw this enough, and every time I've gone out and not stayed true to my personal philosophy, I seem to get lit up. Because I don't want to pitch like other people, and it seems like when I was down there, people would tell me all the time, you throw way too hard to be throwing that many off-speed pitches, this and that, and I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, there's a lot of factors going in here. I'm trying to do things here. I've got a smaller field behind me. It's all dirt. You never know what's going to happen. I can't just go out there and throw cheese the whole time. Anybody can hit a straight ball. It's just a matter of that timing.
Yeah.
You see kids, more and more oftenly you're seeing these high school kids coming up throwing 93, 94, 95, and then you're seeing the opposite side of it where these high school kids are running into 93, 94, and it's just becoming second nature to them. But the minute that thing has a little squiggle in it, one way or the other, or looks like something and does something else, then that's when they start to struggle, just like most hitters do. So,
sure.
I agree with you on that timing thing. I've got a couple lessons where people are constantly trying to do, and I've said this before, and do things like the best guys in baseball do, but you can't exactly copy it. You got to stay true to yourself and what works. I mean, you might be a guy that has to get real mechanical, and okay, I got to start my hands here and move them there, and I got to do this way, or I think I have to swing down or whatever. But if it works, it works. So sometimes you just got to go out and just swing it.
Yeah, let the car run, man.
Let the car run. Hey, you used to sell a lot of used cars, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. Aloha Bill.
I got you. All right. Let me ask you this: would you evaluate a pitcher? You're saying Warren Spahn, left-handed pitcher. What would give you? Can you give me an example of how you like to evaluate what? Maybe what you look for? Is there one thing or multiple things that you really like to look at to say, dang, that guy's good?
Real estate. Location. Can he throw strikes? To me, that's the most important thing. Good velocity, it's great. But if you can't throw strikes, it doesn't matter too much. I like to see a guy be able to work both sides of the plate, up and down. I don't know if it's being coached much anymore, but when I was a young guy, I would hear pitching guys talk about throwing to the L. Do you know what I'm talking about there?
Possibly. The terminology might be a little different.
Throwing to the L was going from letters down to the knees and out.
Okay.
My computer. Can you see the little thing on it?
No, we can't.
It says I'm about to run out of battery. But I was taught to. I wasn't, but I'd hear those guys talk pitch to the L, and they were talking about up and in, down to the knees, and then out from there, like the L shape is. And I like to see guys that can do that. I think a lot of guys do it, yourself included, but don't think about the L,
Yeah.
And I like to see a guy be able to throw a couple of pitches that have some wiggle, that are strikes, um, or if he's trying to miss, he's missing on purpose. I mean, but not a bad miss, just a miss.
Yeah.
You bounce at 56 feet. That's not a good pitch. You throw it bill of the cap high. That's probably not a good pitch. That's a good fastball right there. A 59-foot breaking ball is a good breaking ball. That gets guys to swing and miss. This gets guys to swing and miss. When I played, when I played, to me the changeup was the toughest pitch to hit. You kind of try to teach hitters to pick the ball up as soon as they possibly can. And Jimmy Maxwell, you talked about him. We talked about this. Max and I talked about this. Odoms and I talked about this. If you can pick it up in the guy's hand, you can see fingers, and that damn changeup looks like a fastball coming out of the hand. And if the guy can control that and keep it in the lower part of the zone, to me, that was absolutely the most difficult pitch to hit. How did I hit a curveball? I didn't swing, because most guys can't get it over anyway. I wait till you were 2-0 and hit the hell out of that fastball.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I have to say, for me personally, got to play a little bit in Canada, and I almost rely, I listen to my catcher, I almost relied a little too much on just going fastball changeup. I faced a lot of really good hitters up there, and I felt a little handcuffed not be able to use all my stuff to stay in those quality pitch areas like you were talking about. And I feel like that's exactly what you're saying is guys that can throw strikes, and there's some key terms running around, but basically like what you said, but quality strikes, not missing in the middle, staying on the edges, on the corner, and really going out there and attacking the zone. And making guys get in what I like to call swing mode. One of the things that I surprise myself all the time is sometimes I don't even know how I do it, is where I'll release a pitch, fastball, slider, curve, something, and as I'm finishing and following through, I almost lose track of the baseball, and I almost look and see the reaction of the hitter. Whether he goes out and maybe, it's a fastball away and he leans out on it, or let's say I throw a curveball and I freeze him for a second just because it starts maybe at him and comes in, or, there's a changeup, or I can see a big leg lift from him. And it's all information like a poker hand that's coming back to me as I'm pitching to tell me, okay, now if he makes strong contact with this, and he was guessing on that particular pitch. But most of the time, and you probably preach this too, if you go look at percentages, you're probably going to see 65% of the pitches that are thrown are fastballs from guys even in the show. And I think that the guys that are able to not throw the obvious pitch and the obvious count and still throw strikes with those pitches and not feel the pressure of a 2-0 count and going, even if your coach calls, man, coach is calling a 2-0 slider, like, why don't I throw a 2-0 fastball and just get ahead? Well, you just said, go ahead and throw me that 2-0 fastball, big guy. I'm going to hit that thing over the fence, and you see it. I saw it a lot more down in Mexico. I saw a lot more down in the count, even young 18, 19-year-old kids that were used to throwing fastball, changeup, or slider, and not even worried about if they execute it or not, but just having the confidence. And at their age, when I was pitching, there's no way I would have been okay with, because I grew up on the guys besides Maddox, but you had Smoltz and all these other guys, just throwing cheese, for back when, back in the early 90s, late 80s, nobody was throwing over 95, 96. I remember Troy Percival.
You're right.
Troy Percival and Albert Pujols, he's throwing 96 miles an hour, and everybody is freaking out in that game. No, I'm sorry, not Troy Percival. It was Percival and Bonds. I'm sorry. It's Percival and Bonds. And Bonds hit that ball into the cove, and it was 96. It was down. It was in. It was a good quality pitch staying on that L like you were talking about. And people were freaking out. Nowadays, you got all kinds of people throwing 96, and nobody even cares, because it comes into that whole straight ball philosophy that I was talking about. I tell kids all the time, if you can figure out how to get it to move and be accurate with it, do it. As long as you're being safe with your arm angle, you're not trying to do something a little extra that's causing any pain. If you can, get a slight little pronation on your two seam and get a little extra sink on it, go for it. I mean, it's
my own opinion as a coach. The only real advantage to velocity, I'm talking about the 94, 96 velocity, the only real advantage to that is you can get away with a mistake more often. I mean, if you can pitch and you can throw upper 80s and wiggle a couple of other pitches and pound the zone with them, 3 and out, if you can do that, you can pitch with Bill Moore.
I hear you. Our closer from down in Mexico was a Dominican guy. Got released from the Dodgers. He was 98. Only threw a fastball. He was 6'6". I've never been that close to 98, Bill. It was scary. It was so loud. The ball was so loud with the seams, and he just threw fastballs. And he had a little run on it. He had I wouldn't say necessarily a 3/4 arm slot, but it was 98. It was flat, and it had a little tail on it. And the catcher set up right down the middle, and the guy would just throw absolute cheese, and he would just throw the ball as hard as he could. And I mean, I never saw a guy have so many swing through and misses, because people just swing.
Well, you only see that 98 one inning, one at bat. Timing is the issue again,
Yeah, when do you swing,
When do I get started? Yeah.
Yeah, well, nowadays you got guys, video machines and stuff the other teams got where they can time it. 98 looks, it's not like it used to be where, if you see a guy one time, maybe, somebody's got video on this guy. You can go fire up a video machine with anybody nowadays. And it may not have the perfect arm slot, but you got his mechanics, you got his timing, you got the pitch that's coming out. And, a lot of people don't realize technology's caught up. You don't really see that too much in the game. Every once in a while they'll show a camera shot of a cage work somewhere, but you'll see that video machine in there and, maybe have that starting pitcher for that day.
Yeah.
So,
I hung out with a guy named Bill Jackson in the 80s, and he was probably close to my age now. And I hung out with him a lot, went and watched a lot of baseball games with Bill. And we're sitting at ASU one night, and there was some kid, don't remember who it was, from Southern Cal that was going 89, 92, 89, and he was sitting on 90. And at that time, 90 was an average big league fastball. And I told Bill, I said, wow, man, this guy can really run it up there. And 90 just looks easy for him. He said, 90 ain't easy. There's not 100 guys on the planet that can throw 90 miles an hour. And now there's 100 guys in the big leagues that throw 90 up.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah.
They actually said that.
And I think he was right. Obviously, Chapman a couple years ago was throwing sometimes 10 miles an hour different on the gun. It just depended on where he was playing and who I'm looking for the word, touched up the radar gun that night, so to speak. When he was home, he was 102. When he was in Dodger Stadium, he was 93.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe he ate wrong that day or something. But I still know there's a lot of guys that are over 90. Hell, the Cardinals last year in the World Series, they run out 12 different guys, and all of them were in the mid-90s. And you go, wow. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It is. And a matter of fact, I've talked to some scouts, too, that say that 90 isn't even 90 anymore. Now it's 92 is what they look for the average fastball. They really want guys to be 91, 92 to be, and 91 still kind of 92 is okay. Now, you can pitch. If you can sit there consistently, then it's a whole different game. So, awesome.
I worked for the Devil Rays when they were the Devil Rays, and I was scouting for them. And director of scouting sent a letter out to all the scouts in the organization, and it said right-handed pitchers, if they're not over 92 miles an hour or over 6'5", don't even turn their name in. So I'm going, what about Maddox? We see Maddox just Go away, kid.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even with I think there was a video I found online the other day of Maddox stolen in like Iowa, and coming up, and they had a radar gun, and they had it in this weird position where he could see it in his line of vision on the mound, where it was like showing. It was kind of angled a little bit to where the fans could see it from the stands, but he could almost see it too. And the perfect shot of the camera was just like a big league game from over his shoulder. And he's sitting 86, 87.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's nasty sink and, cutting it and, and just locating perfectly. Yeah, exactly. And I don't think I heard an interview one time he's talking about he touched 90 one time, and I think he did it just to do it, is what he said. But then he went right back to his old thing, a little finger pressure here, slowing the ball down, speeding it up, and stuff like that. So, okay, awesome. Now let me ask you this: what one stat do you feel like defines a pitcher? Do you have one thing that you look at right when you open the stat sheet on a guy? You do some research on it. What's the one thing you look at?
Ball strike ratio. Straight up.
Ratio?
Yeah. If a guy is 60% strikes, I kind of like that guy. If he's 50-50, I'm thinking it's going to be a long night when he pitches. And I just if a guy throws a lot of strikes, back to that same thing. What do I look for? I like ERA. Strikeouts are nice, all the obvious things, but I really like to look at that ball strike percentage.
I like that. I'm a fan myself. My dad was able to do some expert advanced stat stuff for me, translating the radio transmission on. They broadcast on the internet down there, and he kept some pretty good stats for me. And I noticed a big trend to where. If I was in the game, I was about close to 72. If I won the game, I was closer to 78, 80. If I lost the game, I was below 70. So that was personally my benchmark for that. Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Good for you. Good for you thinking that.
What's one stat that you evaluate a hitter on? What's the first thing you get on that?
There's a stat that gets no ink. And it's called RPI, Runs Produced Index. And what it amounts to is the number of runs that you drive in and the number of runs that you score added together minus home runs, because a home run is one of each. Okay? So anything. And you can look it up. Pick out your favorite player in the big leagues right now. Anybody that gets 120 or more in a big league season, 160 games, the guy's a hell of a hitter, in my opinion. A guy that's 75, 80, he might be hitting 310, but he's not producing. He's not. I said this earlier, the only base that counts of those four bases is when you get back and touch that little pointed one.
Yeah, that's something that you talked to me about. I'm big. I don't like free passes, but you definitely helped me come to terms with being okay with maybe hitting a guy trying to throw a specific pitch or walking a guy to stay away from some damage, which the first year I was there, I think that was probably one of the things that I did run into was with not knowing the ballpark and all the external factors, is throwing too many strikes and, broken bat home run or, flare or something like that. And instead of, understanding when is it a good time to nibble and stuff like that and really try to control the game as a pitcher or as a hitter, like you were saying. I like that RPI. I've never heard that stat before. That's why one of my favorite questions to ask any baseball guy that has any kind of experience or a youngster, because there's just so many stats out there. It's a numbersmith dream if you're not a baseball fan. There's so many things to count and recount and add up. It always seems like they're making up some new OPS divided by something stat that they're trying to evaluate a hitter or a pitcher or something on, which is great because it helps the game and it makes
shows that Moneyball is alive and well.
Yeah, exactly. But then you got guys that still rely on I'm not necessarily a fan of ERA per se because there's too many external factors that are outside of your control. I mean, personally, I had an awesome season and ended up with a 3.14 ERA in 120 innings. But
In a little
my dad did the same thing like you're talking about, where we went back and looked at how many runs the relievers came in behind me that let in, and I think he said I would have dropped almost a full point to like a 2-3, like a 2-3-1 if the relievers had done their job like they were supposed to when they came in and get the guys out. That's the whole point of making the change in that pressure situation is for the reliever to come in and get that first guy out or get whatever your job is. That's your job to come in and do, and get throw your best pitch or pitches to get guys out. And with our team, unfortunately, it didn't seem like it was going to happen, but it ended up I was leading the league in ERA for a while, and then it just seemed like the same kind of thing. Get to the 8th inning, have 2 guys on, close ball game, and oh, look at that, take me out, guy, first pitch, guy gives up a double, all the runs score. And that just seemed like a common theme. So I'm not a big fan of the ERA on that one.
There was a pitcher in the 40s and 50s with the Indians primarily named Early Wynn. I don't know if that name rings a bell. But Early Wynn, his ERA was always in the mid-4s. But he win 20 games every year. There's a guy, just like you're saying, I'll throw this down the middle and see what he can do. Game's on the line. I need a strikeout here. He'd get that, and he gave up some long fly balls because he attacked guys when it really didn't matter. Oh, my team's got 6 runs. Here, swing at this, baby. It's right down Broadway. See what you got.
Yeah.
And Early Wynn, he might be in the Hall of Fame. I don't know. I think he won somewhere around 300 games in his career. Played with the Indians when they won 111 games and got swept by the Giants in the World Series.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, one other part of the game we haven't touched on is fielding, and I know you're a magician with defensive alignment and everything. Is there any advice that you'd like to give any fielders? I'll give you an example. Calamia, one of your former players and also played with us in the Fuego, talked about really taking everything mentally as a game situation. I remember, you and I had always talk about, how easy he made the game look. He had really mastered this pro-style 70% throw where you're not necessarily worried about burning the glove across the infield, which, I unfortunately I hear that all the time with kids that I send off to go into these big-time showcase camps and stuff, and they'll put online, the guy was 91 off the mound and he was 95 across the infield, and it's like, well, where'd the ball go? Did it hit the lady in the 3rd row and he threw it 95, or did he throw a strike? Was there a guy running down to first? Did he get to take his time, or what stuff like that? So, is there anything that you feel like you maybe something to advise someone maybe working on their game, fielding wise in the infield that you could recommend?
Well, the old youth baseball axiom: catch, step, throw. Basically that's the right way to do it. I try to get my infielders to step toward their throw instead of doing a bunch of shuffle and that kind of thing where their feet get kind of off center. It's like throwing across your body when you're pitching. If you step with your right foot toward your throw, it's going to be a better throw. It's not going to tail. It's going to be straight, and you got a better chance of it getting there quicker than the ball that tails and hits the lady in the 3rd row up there. Calamia, and you got different styles in the infielders, and if it's working, once again, don't fix it. If the guy's catching the ball, picking it up, giving you a good strong throw across the field, leave it alone. Charlie was a very, 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 very athletic shortstop, very athletic guy. He could throw when he wasn't supposed to be able to throw. His body worked for him so well when he, after the catch, that he could make a good strong throw. Didn't have a shortstop arm. I sent him out one time for a scout to look at, and he says, "Oh, he can't play shortstop. He doesn't have enough arm." But look how quick he gets rid of the ball. When you're working guys out in these showcases and stuff, they ought to shit can that radar gun is what they ought to do.
I agree.
And what they ought to do is get a stopwatch. And from the time it hit his leather till it hit the leather on the other side, what was the time there?
Almost pop time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Pop time for your infielders. If you got a guy, that's got time, take a step, little tap, get his feet up underneath him, hell yeah, he can throw 90. But it took him 3 seconds to do it.
Yeah.
The guy's safe. Get a guy like Calamia, he touched it, and it was over there. And that could have been on the backhand. It could have been on the forehand. He just maneuvered his body very, very well. Conversely, this year, I had a shortstop. There was a big, strong, rangy guy. He was 6'2", maybe 190-pound guy. Very smooth, very smooth. Not nearly as athletic as Charlie, but he had a big gun. And I think when he caught the ball, good step, you were out. And I mean, he made big-time plays in the hole. Difference being, he wasn't as athletic as Charlie. He relied on his arm. Both things worked. Which one is right? The guy's out. That's which one is right. Doesn't matter how you do it. Get the guy out. I do try to get infielders on a routine ball to try to catch the ball slightly off center. Kind of line up the ball with your left eye so that when you catch it with soft hands. You can pull in here, which will put you in a good throwing position. If kids are always taught to get in front of the ball, and you get there and your elbow has nowhere to go. You wind up hitting your belly. Hands are a little bit hard. I just like this. It's not like a big deal. I also like to teach infielders, if you start sliding your glove across here, once it gets to about your nose, you start losing pocket from that point on your right side. So as soon as it gets to your nose, turn that guy over and do a backhand with it. Give yourself a new pocket. That's kind of how I use feet and hands. Get where you can
so
get that left.
Saying, for the people at home, when you're talking about the left side, you were actually recommending for the alignment side for the right foot to be a little bit ahead of the left. Field it off your left side so you're square to first base. It's so funny that you said that. Growing up, even down here in the South, I had many of arguments with people talking about this exact thing, about how you need to have your left foot ahead of your right foot. And I said, well, why would you not want to be square to first base when you're fielding off your left side? I said, your glove's on your left hand, not your right hand. You want to field it out, like you're saying, having more range. Down in Mexico, fielding and fundamentals are so different down there than us. I mean, we had an 18-year-old shortstop that was smooth, ended up tweaking his hammy a little bit, but the guy was outstanding on smoothness, but he practiced that way from the beginning in the game. He never stopped moving anything. When he fielded a ball, the ball, his hand kept moving and everything. And they actually did something which was very interesting for what I said when I was down there. I was paying attention. They teach a almost more basic style of just catching the ball to start off with. There's a lot of drills that they did one-handed stuff, even off the bat, where it was just catch it, then grab it, then throw it, and that's how they started. And then another thing I started noticing, and you probably, I don't know if you teach this or not, this is something that I like to share with people, is line of sight with their glove. And a lot of guys get taught, the alligator, put the hand in front of the glove and go in with it. And I saw one of the guys, one of the older guys working with one of the younger guys and talking about how he didn't believe in that because he couldn't see the ball go in his mitt. And what he actually taught was instead of having his hand over here, they would actually have their hand off to the side, almost making an L like that. and then going this way on top of the ball as they were coming to get it. So they would actually try to go thumb to thumb when it would come in, and it made way more sense to me because the gloves on this hand, in reality, you're trying to field the ball even on our all dirt infield in the pocket. After you catch it and you secure it, then it's just a matter of getting the hands out, and once you practice that enough, it doesn't matter what field you're doing on it, you're basically catching it one-handed, going in and making a strong throw from there. And the fielding level of expertise for that youngness of player to compare to what I see at that age, even here or all over the place, hands down better fielders, better fundamentals, better understanding, better work ethic, and how important ground balls and outs are. And I thought I'd share that with you. You being a coach and being lessons yourself, I thought that was interesting. Some days they'd go out. I know our that young guy would take all of his ground balls without his throwing hand. He would just try to catch
without his throwing hand.
Without his throwing hand, he would not use two hands the entire time. He would go out, and all he wanted to do was catch it and secure it. Then afterwards, he would, just as almost like a game to make sure he understood, he would flip the ball out of his glove and catch it. And then I asked him one day, why isn't he using two hands? And his explanation was he doesn't have two gloves on his hand. And I said, that's simple enough. All right. Awesome. Okay, one last advice. Can I get your best base running advice from the Bill Moore School of Baseball?
Touch home plate. I try to, in one word, anticipation probably. Baseball is a very, very, very hard game to play successfully. And as a base runner, you have to anticipate that something bad is going to happen to the defense every time the ball's thrown. Pitcher throws the ball, it's going to throw a breaking ball in the dirt. You need to be on second base. You have to anticipate that ball is going to be in the dirt. If you give up on it too soon, you're not going to get to second base. If every ball that's hit comes off your bat, it goes up, you got to think that's a double. Oh, it's a routine pop-up to the second baseman. What if he drops it and you dogged it going down to first? Mentioned Eric Cosell earlier. Eric Cosell was a very, very good, aggressive base runner because he bought into that theory that everything's a double. Make that defense stop you. Don't be stupid. If the guy's got the ball, he's going to throw you out. But if he bobbles it and it rolls off, I don't know if you remember, we did a thing in Santa Fe where we put 3 balls in the outfield and just laid them there. And we had an outfielder come in and go to pick them up, and we made a decision to go from first to third or not, depending on how the outfielder was when he got to the ball. And it's always about, I'm using a lot more than one word, but one word I think is anticipation. Anticipate that something's going to happen to allow you to get that next 90 feet. Because when you get 360 feet, it's a run, and that's really what wins ball games.
Yeah.
And if you can get 90 here, 90 there, and then somebody else hits a double. Of course, you do a great job of base running, and you're in the ballpark you were playing in, or in Santa Fe, where it's a little short porch. You do a great job taking the extra base on a little pop or something. The guy hits a home run, it's all moot anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I saw our ballpark was, in Mexico was a little better than Fort Marcy. But wind blowing out, 4-foot fence, we saw a lot of laser beams hit to the outfield with an all-dirt outfield, skip off, hit the wall, guy rounded first, and didn't even get to second because of just the way the field played.
Sure. Yeah.
But on that same point, one of my favorite Ricky Henderson quotes, I think he's probably one of the best base runners, and even coaching Matter of fact, I ran into some issues when I had a team a couple of years ago. Even 12-year-old, I was trying to teach the kids to play the game almost Sandlot style, just like and Ricky Henderson's quote is play the game or be a base runner like you don't need a coach, where you always know the situation because you can make a decision better than quicker than the coach can. And funny story, I ran into an issue. Yeah. I ran into an issue with a parent getting mad at me because we didn't have a first base coach, and I didn't want a first base coach because I wanted the kids to learn when it was a time, to go to the next bag. And we had drills, where we hit a ball to the outfield. I would play center fielder, and I would act like I was running a direction, and they had to make a decision right when they hit first, to read if I was going down to get the ball or my hand was up to throw it and stuff. And they learned, and I just remember that dad just being like, why don't you have a first base coach? We're not winning many ball games. And I was like, well, the first base coach can't touch home, Yeah.
I'm a big base running guy, and I think anticipation will help you as much as any other one single thing. Is just anticipate that every pitch is another 90 feet. If it's there, you gotta be tuned in to take it.
Yeah, try to advance. I got you. Okay, awesome. Do you have a favorite baseball story that you'd like to share on here? Anything come to mind? Any funny stories? You got 1,000.
You put me on a spot here. I can't think.
Anything good happened this year, or maybe you rapped a little bit?
Oh, I'm not gonna rap for you. Yeah. Favorite baseball. Oh, one of the best stories that's funny. It's ego. We were talking about having good teammates earlier.
Yeah.
One of our early season teammates when you were in Santa Fe was a guy by the name of Larry Rodriguez. You remember Larry?
I do remember Larry. The franchise.
Hell of a baseball player. The franchise. Everybody, Bryson, who you had on the show, Charlie had, all of these guys had nicknames. Everybody had some kind of little nickname that the announcer had made up. Larry was getting jealous because he didn't have a nickname. Do you recall the story?
No, I didn't know that.
This is the day before I traded him. That he walked up to the announcer at the press box thing, and he says, I want a nickname. And from now on, when you announce me going to the plate, I want you to announce me Larry, the franchise Rodriguez.
Oh, man.
And Jimmy Maxwell and Kellen Lee and maybe Zimmerman were in on it, found out about it. Oh. And they were on him mercilessly. And I traded him like the next day or something. He just, he was too much. He was just too big issue. Larry, the franchise Rodriguez.
I'm a big component of confidence, and if you don't feel like you're the best man in the planet, at the time of your job, then don't step on the field. But there is a limit, That's to the point.
Yes, there is.
I remember we called them the franchise for a while, and I didn't even know. I thought, because I remember that day that they called him the franchise, because for everybody at home, this guy was he was a 12-year-old all-star playing on our professional baseball team. The guy played corner infield and starting pitch, and I just remember being like, wow, what can't you do, man? And it's just one of those guys that just a different guy, and that's baseball. That's the awesome thing about baseball. People from all over the country get together, and you never know, you're gonna make a connection here and there. And we had an awesome team. Like I said, I still talk to a bunch of the guys. Speaking of one of the guys from the year before, Brandon Thompson, big old Brandon Thompson.
On the
podcast. He's in Omaha, running a indoor facility in Omaha. So it's he was excited to hear you on here. Well, Bill, we'll wrap up. One last question: you got any life advice? You said you're almost 26 years old now, right? 25,
Soon,
26.
soon. Yeah. Maybe next, maybe in 2020. It'd be a good time to turn 26 then. Uh, Life advice. Um, well, a couple things. I'd say get a good pitch to hit pretty frequently. You got to do that with life too. You know, if things are negative and you're hanging out with people that aren't a good pitch, get the hell away from them. Get a good pitch to hit.
Yeah.
Every day, you need to figure out a reason to understand that you're blessed. That just being here, we're blessed. Being able to play this game, we're blessed. Being able to play this game when you're as old as me, you're really blessed that people still let you come to the damn ballpark. I was told back when I was a young guy that keep going out there until everybody on the planet, his word, everybody on the planet tells you to go home. And that's pretty much been my baseball philosophy since. And I'm fortunate that the owner of the Pecos League allowed me to come out and hang out and sit on a ball bucket and do an interview with you. So life is good. Life is very good.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't want to stop playing, and as long as opportunities are given, to me and presented, hopefully I can keep progressing my career and get out there. I signed a big league Mexican contract. Hopefully I'll get invited to spring training with them and can continue and find it, an alternate avenue and find a nice little career, a stable way to, keep the wife off my back, play a little baseball, in my career. So I'm excited about it. I appreciate everything you've done for me. You like I said, you gave me an opportunity when people, like you said, the same before, people telling me to go home, you're too old, that's the only thing I've ever heard is you're too old, you got hurt, this and that, and everything. And, I don't feel old, and you hear that all the time, but, when your first number starts with a 9, you gotta give it a shot. And I've always been trying to go out there and compete, and you always allow guys to be themselves and compete, and if you can't get the job done, at least have them be honest with themselves. And the guys that I've seen that ran through your team weren't honest with themselves. Those are the guys that didn't understand how to play the game. The Bill Moore. We did Bill Moore sprints that one day, and it was a simple thing. I think we played like a short 5-inning game of a series or something in spring training just to get some competition or something. And I remember guys getting mad about it. Where it was, and if you don't, Bill Moore sprints are basically an 8-ball drill, and we lost, and I had no problem with paying my debt. That was part of the game and part of life, paying your dues, understanding what you have to do to move on, and be humble when you need to be humble, and celebrate when you need to celebrate. So you're great for the game. The Pecos League, is honored to have you. Matter of fact, the drama that happened at the beginning of the season. With you possibly being on a different team, and then they causing issues, and you go back.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on. Jimmy. I was talking to Jimmy a little bit while he was finishing up coaching his high school team, and I'm already down in Mexico, and I'm like, did you see what's going on social media with Bill and the Pecos League? I said, first of all, I can't believe that he's not going to Santa Fe, and then and I guess it worked out. So are you going to be going back there? Do they have a lifetime contract left with Bill Moore?
I think so. Actually, Dunn told me within the past couple of weeks, Bill, I want you to retire up in Santa Fe, but in the interim, I want you to start looking for somebody now to take your place. I said, what, should I go buy the coffin too, or what? But, I mean, it's a good place to play baseball. It really is. The weather's great. The ballpark was better last year, and hopefully it's better this year. I heard something about they were going to skin the infield, put new grass in. And I said, well, you're doing that, buy a lawnmower also, so we can mow it a couple times a week, you know.
Oh,
But
did you? What I meant to ask is the bullpen still intact?
the one down on the third baseline is gorgeous. That it was not taken care of. Period. 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 And when we got there, you're not going to believe this story. When we got there, Mr. Dunn brought me 40 bags of mound and home plate clay,
Wow.
and we went down and completely rebuilt the mound, completely rebuilt home plate, down to the bullpen, and completely rebuilt the pitching mound down there, and we actually made it a little more solid around home plate down in the bullpen so that catchers weren't up to their ankles in the dirt. And it was amazing. And Mr. Dunn, the day we were working on the bullpen, was in Santa Fe, and he comes down on the field and he said, Bill, don't let them go down there and use up all that clay on a damn bullpen. And I says, Andrew, they're only going to use a couple of bags, and they'll probably use 4 or 5 more during the rest of the summer. And we got lots of clay. And when it was all said and done, he had Taos take some clay up to Taos. And don't tell anybody, I gave Santa Fe High School whatever clay was left in the shed down there. There might have been 4 or 5 bags of clay in the shed. And I'm already petitioning him for another 40 bags for next season. Well, Santa Fe High School does us right. You know, they let us use L screens and mats to hit off of and all the good stuff that we don't have. So what's wrong with giving them 4 or 5 bags of clay?
No. Spread the goodness in the game. And we come into their town. They host us. You know, the people of Santa Fe. I've got host mom, friends, everybody out there. If I ever get a chance to go back, it'll be a big reunion. I'm still staying in contact with them. Even a year later, it was a very good experience. And I'm a big fan of yours. I was very excited. As soon as I found out you guys clinched and were able to get in the playoffs, I sent you a message. And once you guys clean the whole thing up,
for me and become 23 again. You can pitch for the next couple of years in Santa Fe. Moved in.
They changed the rules again.
Good. Come on,
age limits. Yeah, I mean, I was too. If that's the case, I was too old from the time I got in there.
Yeah. Hey, John. Do they have a red shirt like that?
What's the Born in the Cage, guys?
Yeah, property of Born in the Cage. That's a great logo.
I'll ask them. They got a whole new line coming out on some stuff, and I'll see what maybe we can get something. They're awesome. They do a lot of the good dry fit stuff too. That would be good for you out there in Santa Fe and the heat and stuff. And maybe we can get some partnership or something going. I'll talk to the guys. They're an outstanding group, and they do some very quality work and stuff. And I'm sure you would like something like that on here and some stuff. And
yeah, I would.
I'm helping promoting them, and we got some more designs coming out with my logo and stuff.
Is that you on that hat?
That is me on that hat.
I knew that. Were you throwing a strike?
Yeah, hey, why not? It might as well be. You gotta live low in the zone, Well,
John, I'm going to pardon myself so I can take my beautiful bride out to dinner.
No, it's perfect. I appreciate it. I don't want to take up any more of your time. We got more than enough. I will get this up. I appreciate it. Everybody go check out borninthecage.com. Go check out their stuff. Dry fit, some 50-50 stuff. Very quality stuff. Great guys for a good cause. Visit my website, EmeraldCoastBaseballAcademy.com. Once again, Bill Moore, the legend, the champion of the 2014 Pecos League season, and possibly hoping to repeat in 2015.
Bringing them home right now. I think we got 6 of our pitching staff back this year.
Oh, awesome.
Nice.
Well, if anybody needs to get a hold of Bill, he'll at least give you a shot. If there's any indie guys that get a hold of this that are looking for a place to start, everybody's telling you no, I at least try to give him a shot. Santa Fe is probably, my personal opinion, the best place to play in New Mexico. The town's, great small town. It's the capital of New Mexico, and the people are awesome too. So,
look me up you're a baseball player, and I don't care if you throw 90 or not. If you're a baseball player and you're looking for a spot to play, and everybody's told you you're too old, too ugly, too this, that, look me up on Facebook and let's chat a little bit.
There you go.
Bill.
Bill Moore on Facebook. Check him out there. You can check out the Facebook for Santa Fe. Just search Santa Fe Fuego. You can also get the Pecos League. Bill's, hey, Bill's about 26 years old. We got him on Skype tonight. We got him all hooked up, so I'm excited about it. Hey, we got to do this again for sure. Maybe around playoff time, maybe say a month or so. I'll try to get back with you now that I got you on here. We can talk some playoff baseball and see if there's any other crazy stats we can come up with, some RPIs and stuff like that.
Maybe we ought to start keeping track in the playoffs.
Hey, possible.
See what happens.
Yeah. Definitely.
Ball strike percentage. Oh, that guy's only going to make it 3 innings. At least 50.
All right,
John, I'm going to take my beautiful lady out for dinner.
Definitely.
And you need to go home and talk to your beautiful lady.
You're right. I'll pass that on.
Okay.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, Bill.